Hola seekers, mi nombre es Kim and bienvenidos to A Pick a Card. Remember that this is a timeless reading, meaning there is no specific date or timestamp to the messages. At whatever moment in time you decide to watch this video, the messages can still apply to you. Okay, so in this reading, we shall receive love messages in regards to your relationships. So how does love show up for you in your various relationships? In your relationship with self, your general platonic relationships, and in your romantic relationships. And we shall look at the current energy, get some advice from spirit, and then we'll take a peek into the future energy. Okay? So as always, to do this reading, we shall use tarot cards. And I've also created these little cards to represent the 7 main chakras, and they are here to help us realize which chakras need a little bit more attention and care at this moment. And at the very end, we shall pull out messages from our note jar. Okay? So we have 3 groups to choose from, and each group is represented by a rose quartz. So for group 1, we have this rose quartz. For group 2, we have this one. And for group 3, we have this rose quartz. Okay, so as always, take as much time as needed, pause the video if necessary, and whichever rose quartz calls out to you, then that will be a group. And the timestamp for each group is provided in the comments section down below. Okay, now that you've chosen, let's jump into your reading. Hello seekers who chose group 1. Okay, so I wanted to do what I usually do, which is grab my little notebook and write down whatever came to mind, but a lot of different messages in different forms came through for you guys. So a message did come up, and it was "Love is in the air," but then a song interrupted the message, and it was the song by Frank Sinatra, "Come Fly With Me." And I did also see an image in my mind's eye of a wishbone. And then received another message, which was "Look into your heart where love remains." And I also got the message of "Start over." Okay, so there's a lot of different messages going on for this group, but I am getting this feeling of happiness and joyfulness because celebration does feel like starting all over again. I get this feeling of allowing yourself to finally experience and live your dreams, your fantasies. And with the wishbone, it does feel like you've made a wish and your wish is finally being fulfilled. Okay, so that's what I get for you guys, but let's look into the cards to get more information. The first cards we're going to be looking at are in regards to your relationship with self. So the first card is to get the general energy. Okay, so we have 8 of Arrows, struggle. So the 8 of Arrows is the 8 of Swords in the Rider-Waite's Tarot. And the 8 of Swords it can represent self-sabotage, but because it is arrow, it is this air energy, and that has to do with the mind, with the thoughts. So it's usually feeling entrapment because of our thoughts, because of our mentality. Sometimes when we can get too much in our head, start overthinking about a situation, then we can feel trapped. We can feel like there is no way out, there is no solution, all we see are obstacles. And in the Rider-Waite's Tarot, it is a woman who is blindfolded, and she is also loosely tied up, and she's surrounded by swords. But of course, the ropes are loosely tied, so she can loosen herself off. She can take off the blindfold whenever she decides to, and she can walk in between the swords unharmed, unscathed. And what I get with the 8 of Arrows, I usually look at this image and it reminds me of the aftermaths of a battle. So with all of these arrows, they're no longer in flight. They've all penetrated the ground. They all hit the snow. They can no longer harm this person that is coming through. And even though it's the energy of, she's in the storm, it's winter season, it's cold, she looks like she's alone, there is still hope because of the lantern she carries. It feels like she is guiding herself somewhere. And I say guidance because we do have this river, and the river represents a natural flow. For me, the river symbolizes guidance from the universe, guidance from spirit. And water also reminds me a lot of intuition, connecting with that feminine energy, which is very, very highly intuitive. So all this card is telling me at this moment, you might feel like you're in a rut. You might feel like you're stuck somewhere. And it is very real for you. And I'm not here to invalidate what you're feeling, what you're going through. But what this card is trying to tell you is that even though it feels like there's no way out, even though you feel lost at this moment, you are not lost. There is a way out. There is hope. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You are being guided somewhere. This card, because of the arrows, how it looks like the aftermaths of a battlefield, it always reminds me of something that needs to resurface in order to make you see that it no longer hurts you the same way that it did once before. So this could be a trigger, a trauma, this could be a person. This is to show you that you've done a lot of the work. You've grown and improved so much. And even though whatever this may be, if it's a person, if it's a situation and experience, a trauma, a trigger, if it resurfaces and you still react in the same way as before, please do not feel like you're taking 10 steps back, that you haven't healed, that you haven't grown, because just for a moment, we hope that you'd see the situation and that you compared it to the past and seen that maybe you still get a little affected by it, but it's not at the same degree that it once was before. And your reaction being different from the past, that is showing you all the growth that you've done. I know sometimes we want to say, I finally healed, it does not affect me anymore, I'm a completely new person, I'm completely healed, I'm 100% healed. We want to get there, we all want to get there, but remember that life, it has its up and downs, and as we continue to grow and as we continue to transform, there's continuous healing involved, right? So what Spirit wants you to know is, do not be so harsh on yourself, because you're doing a pretty damn good job. You're doing a pretty damn good job. The battle is over, and what you're walking through is the remains of that battle. And yes, sometimes seeing the aftermath of a battle is brutal, right? And it resurfaces a lot of memories and traumas and hurts and pains. It's like you're living it all over again. But the reality of it is that it's over with. It's no longer happening. It's no longer in action. The pain is more in the mind now. Seeing this woman walking through this, I'm seeing it as you walking through it. Like, you will be able to face this. You will be able to leave that land, this space, and not look back anymore. Leave it behind. And this requires a lot of courage, a lot of strength, and as well as resilience. But with the Eight of Arrows, with the struggle card, what I'm seeing is that you prevail in this, you go through this, and we're acknowledging the pain that it causes you. It's still there. The pain is still there, but how can I say this? You walked through this hell. You were in it, and the only way out was to keep walking through it. And that's what you're doing, and you will get out of it. And you're being guided, and you have not been abandoned, and you're leading yourself, because with this lantern, I always see it as an expression of one's intuition, one's own inner light. And know that that inner light has not been extinguished, and nothing outside of you can extinguish that inner light that you hold within, which is, I see it as your hope and your faith. It's your own spirit. And that is what has helped you move forward in this, your own strength. Okay, it's very important to understand that this is you. Yes, there might have been people outside of you who have maybe helped you in this situation, but at the end of the day, the one who has to do the work, the one who has to get up every day and do this thing and walk through this hell has been you, and you've done it. So please know that there is a way out of this. Please know that you're heading in the right direction. You're making it through, and you will make it through. And the only message here that is extremely important, do not be so harsh on yourself, because you're doing a pretty damn good job. And we only hope that you would see the growth that you have done, the healing that you have done, and how proud we are of you for walking through this journey and still holding this lantern like a champion. So I feel like the advice for you would be, show a little bit more of that compassion to self. Congratulate yourself. Even if you think that the steps that you make to progress, to growth are small, they are still steps. It doesn't matter how small or big you perceive them, they are still steps. You showing up for yourself every day the best way that you can, that is a beautiful step. So thank you for that. Okay, so The next card is to look at the future energy. So now that we know about this, now that we have become aware of this present energy, we'll see how this shifts our future energy. Okay? So we have the Seven of Swords and we have the Clouds in reverse. So when I see these cards in reverse, I'm seeing it as walking away from this energy. The Seven of Swords in the Rider-Waite's Tarot speaks about, I always see it as deception and as running away. It's a fleeting energy. And then we have the clouds, and the clouds, again, it remind me of like fogginess, of unclarity. And since we have the sword energy again, this is again speaking about the mind. So I feel like most of you, this is a battle that is going up in the mind and the head. But with this being in reverse, I'm seeing finally allowing the clouds to drift away. It's finally you being present for yourself, because remember, the Seven of Swords means like running away. It's a fleeting energy. It's not wanting to face a situation, so you flee in the middle of the night, right? But with this, it's saying, no, you show up for yourself now. You face this head on and you walk through this situation, maybe still in fear, maybe still in pain. But remember, that's what courage is about. Courage is not about not having any fear. It's about having the fear, but still prevailing anyways. It's still moving forward. That's what courage is about. And when you see it that way, you can see the strength and the power behind it. And that's what you're showing here with this energy. And so we're not sure if you have realized it, how strong you are, how courageous you are, how resilient you are. But if you haven't, please, I hope you notice that, because we see it here in the cards. And in the future energy, we see the clouds drifting away and the sun coming through to melt all of the snow so spring can arrive. We see you coming back home to yourself. We see you being present for yourself, standing up for yourself, now claiming what it is that you want, and it's also realizing your power. Because with the Seven of Swords, I'm almost getting this energy of having stolen away from you, like having stolen away the mentality that you are powerful, having stolen away the truth that you are courageous, that you are strong, that you are worth it, because you are worth it. And with this energy in reverse, it's you finally reclaiming the truth that you are powerful, that you are worth it, that you have grown, that you are growing, and that you are limitless. Okay? So I'm seeing a lot of evolution, but also kind of more acknowledging the self, standing up for the self, reclaiming your sovereignty and your power, and acknowledging your growth, and not being so hard on yourself anymore, having more compassion for the self, and realizing that you were the light all along. You were the one who guided you through this storm. Okay, so the next aspect of this reading is in terms of general or platonic relationships. So we have the Six of Stones, exploitation. So the Six of Stones is the Six of Pentacles in the Rider-Waite's Tarot. So this card here speaks about an unfair exchange of the giving and the receiving. It's also working something so much that you run it dry, right? Because you don't feed back into it. You just take without giving anything in return. That's the unfair exchange. I'm also seeing it as a depletion of resources, because we do have like this working tool that's broken, and then we have the beehives, which were, I believe, the main source of income here. The beehives are all ruptured, meaning the bees have left the nest because they found the working environment extremely unfair. And then we have these two people who are extending their cups, begging for their cups to be filled. So what I'm seeing this in terms of general relationships is that there is an unfair exchange. If you feel like you give too much of yourself without getting anything in return, meaning that if you feel you put all your energy, all your time in a relationship, and at the end of the day you actually feel energetically depleted, or you feel physically tired, you have headaches, you have migraines because you've been thinking a lot on how to work on this relationship, how to make this relationship better. This can also be representing like you always listening to other people and trying to give the best advice, trying to help, but when it is your time to be listened to, nobody listens to you, or you feel like there's nobody who can listen to you. Sometimes we tend to be the listeners and we keep ourselves from expressing our feelings because we do not want to burden others with our troubles, with our pains. Because since we're usually the listeners, we're always listening to how difficult it's going for others. And we don't want to be a burden to them, right? We don't want to put an extra load on them. So we keep silent. We keep all those troubles, all those pains, all those doubts to ourselves, right? And know that you are also worthy of being listened to. You also deserve to receive the same love and attention you give to others. You are as much as important as anybody else. You are not a burden. You are not an extra thing. You are a being. You are a person. You are a spirit and you are divine. You deserve the same love and attention and affection. You deserve to be heard, to be listened to. Because with the beehives, remember that all of the working bees, they work in a community. They have to work in a community in order to create the beehive, in order for the beehive to thrive. So this is about working as a community. This is about bringing balance in the community, putting a fair amount of work, each bee, each one of you in the community so that it can thrive. So again, look at your relationships. Do you feel there's a fair balance here? If there isn't, then it is time to start working on that balance. It is time to start working on that balance because only when we attain that balance, that fair exchange of giving and receiving, will this situation be able to improve. Because if it feels like, chaotic at this moment, if it feels like there's always maybe dramas or fights or there's somebody always feeling down, it's because there isn't enough communication, because one of you is not expressing equally as the other, and that's why it's chaotic at this moment. That's why there's always someone at the end who feels like their cup is empty, and at the end who's always begging for like a scrap of attention or a scrap of affection, or they feel like they're not being listened to, right? Why, if this is you, if you feel like you're the one who's always feeling empty at the end and you're wondering, when am I ever going to receive love? Or you feel like you have to be begging for affection, know that you never have to beg for love. You never have to beg for love because first of all, you are love. And so also give yourself some time and space. I feel like this is also about like this self-love, is giving yourself the same compassion you give to others. Because if you don't, if you're always so hard on yourself, you're depleting yourself of that love. You're depleting yourself of that energy. You're keeping your cup from being filled. So know that the first place you can always go to fill your cup is you. And once you do that, once you start acknowledging yourself more, then I promise you, relationships outside of you, they will start coming in and willingly start filling your cup. You will need to look for or seek the affection because you will feel a little bit more whole within yourself. Right? So start being more compassionate with yourself. Once you realize that you are deserving of this love and attention, then you will start also realizing the need for it in relationships outside of yourself. And you will start building that balance in your relationships. Okay? And with this too, I am feeling like there's a rupture in communication. How communication works in these relationships, something is not working right. And I feel it might be that imbalance, like maybe somebody is always talking too much and the other one's doing all the listening, and it's time to start shifting that a bit, okay? So the future energy for this, beautiful. We have the 10 of Cups and we have the bouquet and we have the number 7. So I believe the number 7 and the Rider-Waite, it's the Chariot card, and that for me talks about balance, because if you remember the Chariot, it has 2 sphinxes and one is black and the other one is white, and that represents the energy of the yin and the yang. So those 2 sphinxes need to be in balance, need to be aligned in order for the Chariot to move smoothly, because if one is going too fast and the other one's not moving at all, the Chariot will tip, right? So this is about talking relationships. In a relationship, it's 2 people, right? So both of them need to be on the same page, delivering and receiving the same energy, be in communication with each other so that the relationship can run smoothly. And that's what I'm seeing here for in the future. I am seeing balance. I'm actually not seeing like a needing to cut away with current relationships. It's just looking at them in a different perspective and working on this communication and balancing things out. I feel like these relationships can be healed or stitched up. It just, again, I keep repeating, it just needs balance, better communication, because we do have the 10 of Cups energy. The 10 of Cups is abundance, but it's like emotional abundance because it's water energy. It has to do with emotions, with feelings. Cups have to do with relationships. And I always see the 10 of Cups as also representing family, community. It's bringing everybody together and working in a very fluent and cohesive way in which the waters can flow without stagnation. So it's allowing emotions to flow. It's about expressing the self. And 10 is also a very balanced number. So I am seeing a need to balance, a need to give and receive equally. And I am seeing that, like, now that we paid attention to this energy and now that we listened to the advice from Spirit, I do feel like that is something that we will be working on in terms of your platonic and general relationships. And what we enter into the future is a more cohesive, more community-based relationship in which everybody is doing their part and everybody is looking out for each other. And we do have the bouquet here, which reminds me of such like a beautiful, serene, and thriving energy as well. I don't usually read the message here, but see what it says? It says, bouquet of flowers, an absolute indication of long and happy life. So yeah, I'm seeing happy relationships here. Okay, but now let's move into romantic relationships. And this one actually got 2 cards for the general energy, so we'll look at that. And we have the 2 of Bows, decision. Ooh, and we have the 5 of Bows, empowerment in reverse. Okay, so the 2 of Bows is the 2 of Wands in the Rider-Waite's Tarot, and the 5 of Bows is the 5 of Wands in the Rider-Waite's Tarot. The Bows or Wands energy is fire energy. Fire energy is very passionate, energetic, very creative as well. So with the 2 of Bows, this card does represent often making a decision. Sorry, the camera is shaky. But in this card, I love it because it's like what this card represents. It's so empowering. We have this man, he's standing at the top of the highest mountain, that he is able to connect with the stars. He's able to connect with the cosmos. I'm seeing this as like cosmic or universal guidance. And it's coming to a point in your life, in your romantic aspect of your life, where the choices that are given to you inspire you. And you are able to reciprocate in that energy. Remember, that's what we were asking here. This is the balance I was talking about. A fair exchange of giving and receiving energy. Because see how the bows are lit up on fire, but this man is also on fire. So this is representing that your own energy is able to give life to these bows. And these bows inspire you as well. Like they give energy back to you. Like they give you inspiration and motivation. But now it's the time of choosing which one you want to take with you. Which one do you actually want to make into a bow? In regards to your romantic life, there might be some current struggle in choosing a partner. And I feel like possibly the partners that you choose or have chosen thus far are partners that they start really hot at the beginning, but they extinguish pretty soon. And I feel like the guidance here from Spirit is telling you which of these relationships empower you, which of these relationships bring inspiration and motivation instead of struggle. Because the 5 of Bows in the Rider-Waite's Tarot speaks about conflict, speaks about upheavals. It's like a chaotic energy. There's arguments, there's stress. It's like very dramatic. There's so much drama going on. But I do like the energy here because it's talking about empowerment, and we do have it in reverse. So it is time to choose a partner that brings you less drama in a sense and brings you more passion and fire in terms of inspiration. Sometimes we feel that in order for things to be, not boring, there needs to be some drama. There needs to be some upheaval. And maybe because we're used to that. We're used to maybe always having like drama in our relationships. We're used to having like this unfair exchange of the giving and receiving. But Spirit wants you to know you can have all that passion without the drama. You can experience a new passion through inspiration, someone that empowers you, because I don't want to get all sexual here, but look at this image. Right? So it's like someone who empowers you now in a different way. Someone who doesn't put you down. Someone who doesn't stress you as much. Again, I feel like at the end of the day, it's always your choice, right? You can have that passion that you want, but it's now presented to you in different ways. You can have it in the stress, the drama that you've always lived in all your other relationships, or you could have it in a new way, which is a person who motivates you, a person who inspires you, a person who drives you to continue growing and reminds you of your own fire. I hope that makes sense. With this green grass represented here, it's reminding me of that message. The grass is always greener on the other side. If this is you choosing between two people, you might always question, like, did I make the right choice? Maybe it would have been like more passionate or like more adventurous or a better relationship if I have chosen the other person. Like, it feels like at some point nothing really fulfills you, but it's because you're maybe looking for that passion in all the wrong places, when truly it's the passion that you're searching for, that adventure, that fire, that spark that you're so much craving in your relationships, has to come from within. Has to come from someone that keeps fueling your fire in terms of empowerment, in terms of your inspiration, in terms of motivation for life. Not just like maybe like creative works and stuff, but just life in general, reminding you that you are a creator and a creative being. Because with these bows here, I am seeing a lot of offerings. You have a lot of suitors coming to you, and you always feel like you're choosing between people, but you're always wondering if you've made the right choice, if it could have gone better, and you're always seeking for a better relationship, for a more satisfying relationship. But this is about self-empowerment. So a person who can build you up and not tear you down to then build you up, but build you up constantly. And again, it's a fair exchange that you're able to do the same to this person. So for the future energy, we also got 2 cards, and we have the Queen of Wands, and then we have the 8 of Cups. So the Queen of Wands, again, we have fire energy. The Queen of Wands is a leader. She's passionate, she's creative, she likes, I feel her to be very ingenuitive, so she always likes to experience new things, always likes to be kind of in the adrenaline rush, but it is the Queen, right? It is the Queen of Wands, so it's a more stable energy. She knows how to focus her passion and her energy in the right places to create something. So it's not just exerting energy randomly, like shooting arrows randomly without a target. It's having a goal in mind and then focusing all of that passionate energy to achieve that goal. And with the wine here, I'm seeing it as cheerfulness. I'm seeing it as gaiety, as having fun, playing. So this is like, you can have fun. You can be adventurous. You can constantly have this passionate energy in terms of your romantic relationships. But it doesn't have to be destructive. It doesn't have to be chaotic, right? It doesn't have to be that way in order for it to have a spunk. I hope you understand, I hope that makes sense. With the 8 of Cups is about moving away from an energy that no longer served you. Like, it's now, you finally realize that it's about time to leave this energy and move on to better things. And with the kiddings here, I am also getting like a very flirtatious energy. It's like, again, feeling like of playing around. So because of this 2 of bows, it's always your choice. And I feel like whatever choice you make will always lead you to that passionate romance, but it will manifest differently. So one can lead you to more stress, like less commitment just for fun, like just flirting around kind of thing. Or you can finally choose to move away from that energy if you want to and find a partner who right from the very beginning you feel empowered with, empowered by, and who you also feel like that you can empower them as well, you will still have this very passionate relationship, right? But it will no longer be chaotic. It will be more stable in the future. Okay? So that's what I'm seeing in terms of romance. I want to see in terms of romantic relationships, which chakra needs a little bit more work on. This one flew out. We have the sacral chakra. Yeah. So the sacral chakra, it's also known as the womb chakra. So it is connected with feminine energy, and it does deal with pleasure, with sexuality and sensuality. And this chakra is often blocked by guilt or shame. So I feel like this is the chakra in terms of your romantic relationships that needs to be worked on a little bit more. I feel connecting more with your feminine energy, with that nurturing and compassionate energy we were also talking about in regards to relationship with self, finding your worth, and also realizing what is it that you truly want in a relationship. What is it that you're actually craving and wanting for in a relationship, and not feeling any shame in what you're wanting. It's finally acknowledging without shame or judgment. And I feel like also when the sacral chakra can be a bit unbalanced, that's when we have a lot of this like fire energy going on, and it can be very chaotic in a sense that, like this wildfire here, it has no direction, so it spreads like wildfire. When like fire energy can be very, very useful and resourceful when we give it purpose and when we give it direction or focus. And I feel like that is what you're coming into if you choose to. Okay, so at the very end, we will pull out a message. Okay, 2 messages for you guys. Do you hear my call? I am here. And the last message. There is light in you. Remember. Okay? I feel like the message of you are worthy. You are worthy is important for you guys. You are worthy. Okay? So that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it brought some guidance, some clarity. If it did, then please leave a like or a comment. And if you want to stick around for more readings when you can, then please do subscribe. I do offer personal readings. All the information is in the description box down below. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next moment, bye-bye. Hello, seekers who chose group 2. Okay, so I will begin with an intuitive message, and this is what I got. Where you are at is perfect. Do not hesitate to reveal yourself now. The now is all that matters in the great infinite, so do not lose yourself in the wanderings of the past. You make your future now. Okay, so that's all I have for the intuitive message. Now let's move into the cards. The first cards are to see how love is showing up for you in the relationship with self. So this is to get the general energy. Beautiful. We have the 9 of Stones tradition. So the 9 of Stones is the 9 of Pentacles in the Rider-Waite's Tarot, and that is a beautiful card to have, especially in terms of career or life purpose. The 9 of Stones or the 9 of Pentacles express the energy of independence. It's about self-empowerment, self-fulfillment as well. With the 9 of Stones in tradition, it is a very empowering energy because the shaman is a medicinal man who brings in old traditions into his new practice. So he does acknowledge the past traditions of his ancestors, but he doesn't dismiss his own inner knowing and his own intuition. So this is about not being enclosed in old beliefs or old traditions and believing that is the only truth, right? It's thinking outside of the box as well. It's going within and listening to your own inner guidance to find your own truth, right? And it's kind of putting all of that wisdom from your ancestors, from traditions, from other beliefs, and taking what you find resonates with you from it, but then also adding the main ingredient, which is your inner knowing. So that's very powerful because you're creating your own system. You're creating a new system. You're not just taking from the past and then reliving it in the present and calling it your own. You're making something completely new by bringing something new into it. And it's kind of perfect with the intuitive message because where you are, remember the message was where you are at is perfect. Do not hesitate to reveal yourself now. So because this is a relationship with self, and we do have the shaman being represented here, some of you might be going through a spiritual journey or some spiritual healing, or maybe you are delving into divination or spiritual practices. When we start delving into all of this, we tend to look to gurus or other spiritual leaders. Sorry, I had to put it in quotes. For advice, and we tend to compare our practices and our experiences to them. And when we realize that we haven't experienced the same things as them, we belittle our experiences, or it's like we do not validate them. And this is about validating your experiences and not comparing them to anybody else, because this is about acknowledging your journey. Your journey will never match to the T with anybody else's, because it's your journey. What would be the point of having billions of people on the earth living and experiencing the same journey? We wouldn't learn new things. We will progress very, very slowly as a whole. So it is important to acknowledge your truth. It is important to go within and listen to your inner voice. I always say, or I always try to set this message out there, especially when I do private readings. Tarot readings and such, they are here to validate and confirm what you already know. They are here to help open the door in some way and bring guidance, but it's kind of open you to your own inner guidance. No one outside of you will ever have your truth. No one. Because everybody has their own beliefs, everybody has their own journey, their own experiences that have built their own mentality and perspective on things, and they will never be equal to yours. So it is always important to not take what anybody else outside of you says as the truth, as the universal truth, because your truth is your truth, and maybe it will not match up to somebody else's, and that is okay because they are on their own journey. And the shaman in this deck is the magician. So the magician is about acknowledging your strengths, as acknowledging your abilities, even what you perceive to be your weaknesses, to reinforce them into strengths, to see where you're coming from, to see your capabilities and using them to the fullest potential. That's what the shaman does. And the shaman is dedicated to his practice. The shaman is dedicated to his gift. And he also serves the community. And in serving the community, he's also giving back to himself because he's able to express himself fully without limitations. He does not encase himself in old beliefs and old traditions and limits himself in his being, but he lets himself fully expand to his fullest potential. And for the shaman, it's an ever-growing process. He never stops growing, he never stops healing, and he never stops healing others. It's continuous. And as he heals, as he keeps on growing, he discovers even more abilities. He discovers even more gifts that he needs to hone and practice and learn. This is about learning yourself before following anybody else outside of you. Because you yourself are a shaman. You yourself are a magician. You yourself are your own guru. So before you go seek advice from anybody else, seek advice from yourself first, from your inner wisdom, because you do have it. I don't know, if anybody has seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, I always talk about that cartoon, but it's perfect because the Avatar, he embodies all of his other lives. So whenever he needs advice, he actually sits down to meditate in this position and he calls in all of his other selves, all of his other, maybe what we would think as ancestors, all of his other lives, so his higher self, and he gets advice from them. But he doesn't heed it immediately as his truth, even though it's still a part of him. Whatever advice is given to him, he doesn't say, oh, that's what I'm going to follow because they are my ancestors, they are my past lives, so they must know better than me. No, because he realizes that that other life, that other self, was living at a different time, lived a different experience. And the person he is now is a completely new person. It's living a completely new experience, and he has completely different beliefs now. So he knows that at the end of the day, he will need to find a solution that he himself created, not a solution that was given to him by somebody else, because he knows the answer, because he is going to have to live with the repercussions of that choice that he made. So that's very important, to always take responsibility for the choices that you make. So let those choices always come from you. So there will be no regrets and there will be no blame at the end. And with the moon being represented here and with the shadows, I'm seeing like also doing inner work with the shadow self. The full moon reminds me of the deep subconscious. It's like delving deep into your shadow side, your shadow aspects. And with the shadow aspects means all of those things that we tend to hide from ourselves, things that we feel shame over, things that we feel guilt over, things that we may not much like about ourselves. It's finally looking at them without judgment and releasing the shame and the guilt and forgiving oneself in order to find liberation. Because I am seeing the snake here, and that for me speaks about transformation, even with the antlers, because the antlers do fall off the stag, right? And new ones regrow, I believe that's the case. So that's talking about rebirth, growth. So I'm seeing meditation, transformation here happening, inner healing, and it's also beautiful energy with self, because it's getting to know yourself at a very deeper level. Like nobody else will know you like you do. And so once you get to that point, you won't let anybody outside of you judge you or tell you what's right for you, because you will know yourself so well that you won't have a doubt in your mind what is best for you. That's a very beautiful, independent energy. But remember that the shaman is independent, but he is also able to connect with all living beings. He is embodying spirit. He's able to connect with spirit. So it's also very humbling energy as well. So that's like what I feel for you guys at this moment. And it also feels very serene and very calm. And spirit is asking you to be present in the moment, to acknowledge yourself, to acknowledge your own wisdom, and go within first before going to anybody else outside of you. Yes, advice is important. It's necessary. The help is always necessary, but it's important to never forget that no one outside of you has your truth. Only you have your truth. And so it's always important to heed the inner guidance first. Okay, so the next card is future energy. So now that we know this energy, now that we become aware of this, how does that change the future energy? And we have the 8 of Pentacles, and that's number 44, and we have the broken glass. Ooh, okay. So we still have pentacle energy, that's earth energy. Earth energy is very, very grounding. So with the broken mirror, that reminds me of shattering illusions, letting go of facades, because the mirror talks about reflections. It's how you view yourself. But sometimes when we look at ourselves, when we look at our reflection, we do not see ourselves as we truly are. We see what others have instilled in us. We see ourselves through the eyes of others. We see ourselves how others see us. And so we're not seeing ourselves for who we truly are. And it's realizing that the reflection in the mirror is never going to truly embody your true essence, because it's not about the surface. It's about the depth. And that's what I'm seeing here with the mirror. It's like the mirror cracks, but I feel like there's something on the other side of the mirror. And it's like going deeper within, which was what I was getting with this full moon energy here. It's discovering yourself at a deeper level, not just seeing the surface base of things, but seeing the depth of it, seeing the spirit of it. This is like a very spiritual card, especially because we have the number 44, and that's like a master number. And 4 also connects very much with earth energy. It's about grounding and stability. It's about protection as well. It's a very healing number too, which I feel with the shaman energy with like a medicinal man healing. So I feel like this time is about healing your view of yourself, healing the perception of yourself, realizing that you are not what others made you. You are more than that. And you're not your old beliefs or the beliefs of your ancestors. You are more than that. And you can expand yourself even further. And with the room being here and the door being closed, I feel like you were entrapped in a mental space, or you felt trapped inside this room. Like it had to be this certain way for you, and that's what I was feeling with these rocks here. And finally, you're realizing that there's a way out. It's how you view yourself, how you view your situation. It's finally recognizing yourself for who you truly are and having no shame in that, having no guilt, and expressing the you that is now. Because you will never be greater or more than the you that you are right now. Because like the intuitive message said, the now is all that matters in the great infinite. So the future is created in the now. You plant the seed for the future in the present moment. So what is it that you're creating now? So the Eight of Pentacles talks about dedication, perfecting a skill, honing in on a gift. It's about working hard on something. And with this, I'm seeing it as you're working hard on yourself. You're perfecting your skills, your own innate skills and your own abilities, but it's more like discovering what those are and then honing in on them. And it's again because you're finally moving out of this restriction. You're finally thinking outside of the box or seeing yourself outside of the box, no longer enclosed in this space. It's getting up and finding your own voice and seeing what you have to say and seeing that it matters and that it brings something new and useful to the table and that your journey doesn't have to look like anybody else's to be valid. What you're experiencing is completely new and you can bring something new to the table. And I feel like that's where you will be honing in. Like it feels like discovering it, and then you will take the time to actually start delving more into this and how you want to manifest this skill into the physical. So it doesn't only have to be spiritual, but it could be like a creative talent that you have, even like business management. It's just something different that maybe before you felt shame or guilt because it wasn't like everybody else was doing it, but now you're seeing the beauty of it being different from the masses, and you're discovering the potential of it and working on it to then bring it to the world, to present it to the world, or to create something with it. Okay? Oh, so that's a beautiful relationship with self. Acknowledging what you have to bring and not being ashamed of it. So the next one is in terms of relationships in general, your platonic relationships. Oh my gosh. So we have the Green Woman. This is the Empress in the Rider-Waite's Tarot. This is such a beautiful energy with the self and then with relationships with other. The Empress, it's for me represents divine feminine energy. And when I always look at this card, it always reminds me representing your higher self or your divine feminine energy in its highest essence. So the divine feminine, it's about creation, giving life, nurturing life. It's a very passionate, creative energy, very fertile as we see here. It's an energy of manifestations. The Empress for me seems very resourceful. I am seeing this like a very entrepreneurship energy. She is not wasteful with her resources. She gives in the right places because she sees where it is needed, what needs nurturing, what has the potential to grow, and what needs to be let go of. That is what the Empress energy is. And she does not hold herself back. She does not hold anything else back. She is able to release when necessary and believe that it will be able to thrive on its own. And I feel like that is in terms of your platonic relationships. It's releasing the codependency and it's acknowledging that everyone else has this Empress energy. So everyone else, once they realize their potential, once they realize their magic, they are able to thrive on their own. Of course, it is crucial to have help from people, and it is beautiful to grow in relationships, because I always believe that that's like one of the main important aspects of incarnating into this world with billions of other people. It's relationships, because through relationships we are able to experience ourselves more, learn more about ourselves, and are able to grow, and we learn from others. And that is the Empress energy. She is able to realize that everybody has the potential, that everybody has something to offer to this world, and everybody is beautiful in their own intricate way. So with this, I'm seeing like very balanced, very respectful relationships. You know what your boundaries are, you set them in place, you know how to respect them because you respect your own boundaries. Believe it or not, sometimes we ourselves can step over our own boundaries. And when we do that, it's like breaking a promise to self. So when we can't keep promises to self, then how can we expect others to keep promises to us? So it's very important to start committing to ourselves first before we ask anybody else to commit to us, right? We need to be kind of the example. It's very important. I feel like that's what the Empress is. She is able to commit to herself. She is able to keep her own promises. She is able to sustain herself, to help herself grow, to nurture herself. And because of this, she does not need to seek out for outside validation or for outside love, does not need to beg for it. She's not codependent on anybody else. She opens her arms freely, and whoever comes in who can reciprocate the love she gives, then she welcomes them in. And then when it's time for them to go, she releases them without fear. No feeling of needing to have something from someone, or that someone owes you something, because you realize that no one owes anything to anyone ever, because everybody's walking on their own journey. And it's a very bountiful and very respectful energy. Also, number 3 represents manifestations. So I feel like you're able to manifest the kind of relationships that you want. Very respectful friendships. You're able to keep the calm within your family, see the beauty in all your relationships, accept them for what they are and what they have to offer. And then for future energy, we have the 10 of Wands. We have the Tower. So the Tower, when it pops out, it usually scares people. But the Tower is all about, I see it as a form of resurrection and a form of being able to start all over again on a more sturdier foundation. So it's allowing change to occur. And the Tower moment usually comes as a blessing in disguise, because it tears down what no longer serves us. It tears down what is no longer useful for our present moment, especially for the future that we want to create, right? So it allows us to be able to build something that will actually serve the future that we envision for ourselves. And with the 10 of Wands, the 10 of Wands usually speaks about like struggle and difficulty or burdens. But with the Tower here, I'm seeing it as you are able to let go of things that are becoming burdensome. Like you are able to enter more of this energy of being able to let go of things when it is time to let go of. Because relationships also have their seasons. Sometimes we believe we need to hold on to a relationship for the rest of our lives. We feel that that's the only way of expressing true love. But it's not always the case. We don't have to hold on to someone in order to express how much we love them. Because sometimes holding on to someone may be keeping them back from their own growth, from their own potential. So you, like I mentioned before, you realize that everybody has their own potential, everybody has their own growing process and their own journey to go to. And you have so much love and compassion for their journey that you are able to let go of them when the time is ready. Because sometimes when we hold on to a relationship, when it's time for it to move on to another stage or to maybe just end, then that's when things become difficult. That's when it becomes a struggle. That's when we're working really, 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 really hard to keep this relationship afloat. That's when there's no communication, or we clash or butt heads because our energies are no longer matching anymore. So it's time to move on to something else. And remember, you can always hold space, and you can continue loving a person even if you're not in a relationship with them. Because once love is created, it cannot be destroyed. Energy cannot be destroyed. Remember, it can only be changed or transmuted. So once you created love and you hold that space of love for someone, it can never be destroyed, even if you separate or your relationship changes or you are at a distance from that person. And that's what the Empress here is demonstrating. Yeah, because the number 10 also represents closing of cycles. And then with the number 3, it's like you end a phase, you end a cycle, but then you're able to manifest a new relationship, a new beautiful relationship, but still holding space and love for this past relationship. You're able to hold space for a new relationship as well, and learn from it as well, see the value and the beauty of it as well. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing in terms of platonic or general relationships. Now moving into romantic relationships, we have the Page of Vessels, the Otter. The Page of Vessels is the Page of Cups in the Rider-Waite's Tarot. The Page of Cups is a very sweet energy. It usually means a romantic offer, but we do have it in reverse here. With the Otter, when it's a bride, I usually see hesitance from the Otter, because we do have this stream of water and we see how the current is pretty fast here. Water energy for me connects with emotions, with feelings. It connects with the heart space. So seeing this fast current, I'm getting this vibe of fearing getting swept by your emotions. It's almost fearing falling in love and then losing sight of yourself. That's what I feel the hesitance here is, because remember, the otter, its natural element is water. That's its home, that's its habitat, that's where it plays and it's free and it feels at home. But here I'm seeing hesitance because of the fast current. So with the Page of Vessels, that being a page, the initiation of something, there might be a fear of beginning relationships in terms of romance, because it feels like in terms of general or platonic relationships, you're able to begin and start new ones, like they are able to flow. But in terms of romantic relationships, I'm seeing a bit of a stagnation because we do have this in reverse. So I feel like there might be offers that come your way, but either you do not see them as potential suitors or potential romantic offers, like you yourself might not see that they are actually romantic offers, and so you dismiss them. Or you might see where this is heading, and so you end the connection pretty quickly. One of your reasonings might be you're not interested in this, or this is not what you're looking for, or there's something better waiting for you. And that may be the case, but I'm also feeling that, like, at the very deep level, there might actually be a fear of entering a romantic relationships, because there might be a fear of getting swept away by your emotions, by falling in too deeply and then not being able to get out of this fast current. Because the Page of Vessels is very romantic. It's a very Piscean energy. It daydreams, it idealizes, it romanticizes a bit too much relationships or the situation. And I feel that might have been your past energy, or that might have been situations of the past where you might have romanticized the connection and it might have not turned out so well, or you might have fallen in too fast for somebody. And again, the love might not have been reciprocated, because sometimes I feel like the Page of Cups can also represent an unrequited love, and that might have been the situation for you several times. And so that's, you kind of learned from that, and you say you don't want to experience that anymore because it's too painful. And so now there's this fear of, entering a relationship because you don't know where this might head into. So I'm actually not seeing like spirit telling you jump into the first opportunity that is given to you. It's more like give yourself an opportunity, because I do feel like a romantic offer will come for you in the near future. And when this romantic offer comes in, you will feel a connection with this person. You will actually like this offer. And Spirit just wants you to not shut yourself away from this opportunity of experiencing this romance. Because all this energy, it's very Empress energy, the Magician, very independence, getting to know yourself, it's grounding yourself. So I feel like once this offer comes in, you'll be more grounded in yourself and what it is that you want for yourself, that you will not get easily swept away by your emotions, because you will be more level-headed and you will be more grounded. So do not worry about that, because all this work that you've done, it's also to help you in the romantic aspects of your life. Do not close yourself from this opportunity because of this fear. Allow yourself to experience love in a romantic sense, because I feel like maybe you haven't fully embarked in a full-on relationship as of yet, and it's something that you secretly do crave, that you secretly do want to experience, that maybe you still secretly continue fantasizing about, and the opportunity for this will be given to you, but it's only if you allow it. So for the future energy, we have the 5 of Pentacles, and this is the Anchor. So the Anchor, and then 2 and 8 represents the number 10, which represents, again, as we mentioned before, the ending of cycles and phases. So with the 5 of Pentacles, the 5 of Pentacles does describe poverty, lack, abandonment. And actually, I do feel like this is the fear here, the fear of being abandoned, the fear of being left out in the cold. That's the energy of the 5 of Pentacles. And I feel like this is the wound that hasn't been truly acknowledged, and it's the root cause of this fear that we express with the Page of Vessels. I'm not seeing like this is what will happen in the future, because we do have the Anchor here, and the Anchor for me represents stability. It's grounding yourself. So the Anchor is very important. It's the trust, the loyalty in a commitment, in a relationship. And I feel like that's maybe what is one of the fears here, like a lack of trust. It could be a lack of trust in yourself and how you will respond or react to a romantic relationship, or the lack of trust in others to be able to commit to you, to be able to be loyal to you. But with the number 10 here, I feel like this distrust will finally end. And it's when you allow yourself to trust, because we cannot fully heal this unless we open up to it. And with the yellow being represented in the background, that's reminding me of the solar plexus. And the solar plexus has to do with confidence. I also see it as knowing oneself enough that you know that if a romantic offer comes in, you will not allow yourself to get swept away by your emotions. You will not lose yourself in this romantic relationships, because you will be anchored in your own self-identity and your own worth to not lose yourself in another person. The solar plexus often blocked by shame. So this is about accepting all aspects of yourself and realizing that no balance is found in self-denial. So remember I said that I feel like for some of you, this is something that you truly crave, like this romance. You really want to experience this romantic relationship, but it's this fear that's keeping you back from accepting it. It's acknowledging the fact that you want this. It's acknowledging the fact that you want to experience this and feeling no shame in it. It doesn't make you any less independent if you want to experience a romantic relationship. It's a beautiful thing to want to experience that. It's beautiful that you have that hope and that you have that love within you that you want to experience and share with somebody else. So Spirit wants you to know it's okay for you to want that, and it's okay for you to experience that. It's okay for you to allow yourself to open up to it, to the opportunities of it. And again, I don't normally read this, but I want to pay attention to this message. Bring attention to this message, and it says, the anchor denotes successful ventures in business and in love. Okay, so this is about successful ventures. I feel like the 5 of Pentacles here is describing the energy that you will finally be releasing once you open yourself to these opportunities of romance. Okay, so now let me pull I want to pull it for the love aspects. What's one of the chakras that needs to be focused in to bring more balance into the relationship? Romantic relationships. Ooh, so we have the throat chakra. So the throat chakra deals with the truth and is often blocked by lies. And it's usually blocked by the lies that we tell ourselves. So again, do not feel any shame for wanting romance in your life. Be honest with yourself and what you want in a relationship. Be honest with yourself and what kind of relationships you want. Not only friendships or beautiful family community-based relationships, but also if you want a romantic relationship, that is perfectly okay. And it's perfectly okay to be honest with yourself about it. The more honest that you are with yourself about it, the more healing you can bring, the more open you can be, and the more you can embody your true self and your true essence and show up as your true self. Also, the throat chakra has to do about communication. So it's speaking up. In terms of romantic relationships, it's speaking up about what it is that you want in this relationship, what you are feeling, what you feel is lacking, what needs to be worked on. It's okay to speak up about that. And if you feel like in your romantic relationships you can't do that, then it's starting to see whether this is a relationship that you want to continue carrying on with or not. Okay, so I feel like communication and truth is very important, but I'm also seeing specifically truth with self. Okay, now let me pull a message for you guys. I feel like these two. So we have the message here, always. It's okay to ask for help. And we were talking about that with independence, that it's okay to be independent, but it's also okay to have relationships. It's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to want a relationship that doesn't make you any more weaker. And it's also okay to ask for advice, but always remember, advice is helpful, but it's not the end-all be-all. And relationships are important, they are crucial, but it's remembering that no relationship outside of you makes you or breaks you, okay? And it's okay to want a romantic relationship. Okay, so that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought some guidance. If it did, then please leave a like or a comment. And if you want to stick around for more readings with me, then please do subscribe. I do offer personal readings. All the information is in the description box down below. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next moment, bye-bye. Hello, seekers who chose group 3. So I will begin with some intuitive messages. I actually just got some scattered words for you guys. I got the word start, the phrase some time ago, and lastly the word unfoldment. So I'm actually feeling something for you guys is unfolding at this moment, and I feel like this is a start, but it's a start that was held back because of a situation or because there was resistance for the change. But now we're finally moving into this new beginning and it's unfolding for you. Okay, so now let's move into the cards. So the first card is to see how love shows up in the relationship with self. So the first card is to represent the general energy. Ooh, wow. Okay, so we have the seer, and this is the high priestess, I believe, in the Rider-Waite's tarot. It's a very magical, intuitive card. So the seer for me is representing intuition. It reminds me of the third eye, the inner eye, because it's going within. It's not seeing with your physical eyes, but seeing with that third eye. It's also representing a lot of divination practices because we have scrying here, we have the runes here, also this energy of grounding and connecting with nature in order to receive information and to exchange or have this natural flow of energy. Because with her staff being represented here, it reminds me of alignment, that message of as above, so below. So it's rooting, connecting with earth energy, and it's also connecting with the divine. And I see a lot of grounding here, especially with her dress. It's the color red that reminds me of the root chakra. So at this moment, it feels like a time of stillness, and it feels like a time of bringing yourself back into the present. Again, grounding keeps coming through, and that reminds me a lot of stillness and finding clarity in the silence. And with her cape here being like feathers or plumage of owls, I see that as wisdom. So it's inner wisdom. It's like finally going within to obtain the answers. Maybe for some of you, you have gone to other practitioners or other people who practice divination, tarot readers, mediums, to obtain your answers because you believe that you couldn't or you didn't have the magic or the abilities to find the answers yourself. And so you went to other people outside of you to answer your questions. But it's like now reclaiming your power and finally understanding that you can go within. It's finally gaining clarity, and it's gaining clarity from the most reliable source, which is you. So I'm seeing taking time for yourself to meditate, taking time to go within, to listen to that inner voice. Maybe you're actually delving into some divination practices. It doesn't necessarily just have to be tarot. Maybe you are delving into other practices such as scrying or runes or candle magic. It just whatever feels right to you, whatever is calling you at this moment. That's what you're delving into. And I see such a deep connection also with Mother Earth. And this does remind me of like shamanic rituals here. So maybe that's something that you're contemplating on doing at this moment. And the High Priestess is the bridge between the physical and the spiritual world. And that's the state I'm seeing her in. It's like in this moment, she's connected to the beyond. She's connected to the higher realms. And she's gaining all the information. It also reminds me of like connecting to the Akashic records. Connecting to all of that infinite wisdom. The wisdom of your many lives, of your higher self, of your ancestors. And it's collecting all of that wisdom and it's kind of putting all the puzzles together in order to see the bigger picture. But it almost feels like in order to see what step it is that you need to take next. And it's finding reassurance in the journey that you are right now and realizing that you are on the right path and that the timing is perfect. Everything is unfolding in perfect divine timing. Nothing is being rushed and nothing is growing too slow. It's growing and it's unfolding and it's evolving at its organic pace. And with this energy, there's no rush. There's no anxiety. There's no fears. There's no doubt because you see it all. And even if you don't see it all, you just understand and have this deep inner knowing that all is well. All is as it should be. Because that's the tree energy. The tree doesn't move. And if it grows downwards and it grows upwards, extending its branches, right? But it doesn't need to move and go anywhere in order to see it all and to connect to all. Because remember, the tree connects through the roots and it's able to actually communicate with other trees. It's able to connect to the entire forest without having to move. It's able to see and feel the vibrations of everything that is going on. And that's what you're doing here. I also feel like connecting with other people. People that you might be at a distance from or separated from at this moment in the physical, but you're able to connect with them, send messages to them, receive messages from them, receive messages from other realms, from higher dimensions, from other beings. And it's always being connected. This is about always being connected. And we do have this carving here, and this is actually representing the journey. This one comes out in the world card, and that represents your life's journey. And since we have it here, it feels like this is like a higher self, like a higher being that's looking bird's eye view into your life. So this is like your all-knowing self looking into your journey and realizing that all is perfect, all is as it should be. You're on the right path. Okay? Oh, that's like beautiful energy to have here. I also feel like connecting more with your gifts, with your psychic abilities. I feel like opening your third eye, but it's you actually practicing it. You're actually putting in the time and the energy and giving the space to delve into these gifts that you have and to acknowledge your foresight and to acknowledge your inner wisdom and to connect. So knowing this energy now of the present, becoming aware of this, we're going to see how that shifts the energy of the future. Ooh, perfect. So we have the Ace of Swords, number 37, and we have the rapiers, I believe. So 7 and 3, that adds up to 10, and the number 10, I see it as conclusions, closures. And the Ace of Swords, it's about revelations, a new beginnings, but for me primarily it means a truth coming finally forward. And having the Seer here, I feel that is what it's representing. It's like this undeniable knowing. It's the truth. So you coming into this energy, you are able to finally see your truth and accept it. Because we do have the Two Swords here, and they're reminding me of the Two of Swords energy in the Rider-Waite's Tarot. And that for me, I see it as resistance and blockage. And with these colors here, it reminds me of the root chakra, the solar plexus chakra, even the sacral chakra. So those are the three first main chakras. So the root chakra is where we ground, and then we have the sacral chakra, which has to do a lot with like passionate energy, creativity, and then we have the solar plexus, which has to do with willpower and self-identity and confidence. And I see like there was a blockage in terms of those three main chakras. And because of those blockages, you weren't able to fully connect with yourself. You weren't fully able to believe all the information that was coming through intuitively for you. And so that's why maybe you felt the need to seek outside validation or to seek outside help. But now I feel like this blockage finally lifts because you start working on these three chakras. You start grounding yourself. You start appreciating more of being in the present. And it's like your inner spirit, your inner being, it's not forced. Like you don't have to force yourself to sit down to meditate or to connect or to ground or to be with nature or to just find stillness. It's like you naturally crave it, you want for it. So you make space for this, to practice this, to open these three chakras and to allow energetical flow. And then once you do that, you are able to begin having more self-confidence. You are able to start trusting yourself more and start recognizing yourself, your abilities, your talents, and who you truly are. And once you do that, truth comes forward to you and you no longer deny it. You no longer close yourself off to it, but you accept it without judgment. And that brings in more clarity and more reassurance in your intuition and in your own inner knowing. Yeah, so that's beautiful relationship with self here. So it's about trusting yourself, being confident in what comes through for you, and realizing that you have all the wisdom within. Okay, so now let us move into general relationships or platonic relationships. So we have the Three of Bows, fulfillment in reverse. So the Three of Bows is the Three of Wands in the Rider-Waite's Tarot. So the Three of Wands talks about travel. It also talks about, it's like a visionary, planning for the future, seeing the possibilities, being excited for the future. It's looking out into the horizon and wanting to venture into those unknown waters without fear, without resistance. But we do have Three of Bows here in reverse. And this is represented by fulfillment. So in terms of your platonic or general relationships, it feels like at this moment there might be no clear vision of how these relationships might progress in the future. I do feel like a stagnation at this moment because I'll show it to you upright. See how we have this one road here, and then we have the split here, and we have this man here who is kind of stopping you on your journey to tell you, wait a minute, this moment is important. So be mindful of what road you choose next, what bow you decide to take with you on this journey. And I'm looking at these serpents here, how they're intertwined. And this reminds me of the yin and yang energy, of the kundalini energy, of the integration between the masculine and feminine energy. So it's about balance, it's about merge, it's about union. And it's funny how we have this merge here, but then we have the split roads here. So at this moment, there might be healing occurring in terms of your relationships. It could be in terms of your friendships, in terms of your family. And when there's healing, there's a lot of truths that come to the surface. So things that have been kept, emotions that haven't been expressed. And once we start talking about them, more things start surfacing, and there might be disagreements, there might be lashing out, there might be pain, tears, arguments. But know that this is all also part of the healing, especially if you allow it to become a healing process, especially if you take the time to listen, to take time to acknowledge the feelings of others, even if they were things of the past, and see where they're coming from, and understand that even though you might not see it their way, their experience should be validated, because it's their experience, it's their emotions, and you can't tell someone how to feel, right? I am seeing this worry about how certain relationships will progress in the future, but I feel like the Three of Bows here is telling you, do not worry, because if you want to heal and mend these relationships, if you want them to work, they will work out. And I also feel like maybe there will be a time of separation. If there hasn't been already, maybe for some of you there is a time of separation at this moment. Maybe there's some distance occurring. This might be like actual physical distance, but if not, it'd be like maybe you just needed a time out from each other. And do not be afraid of this, because sometimes that distance is needed in order for healing to occur, in order for a person to be able to fully be in their emotions, to understand what they're feeling, to put themselves back together. And I feel like that might be very crucial for you at this time as well. But once all that is put into place, then there is an opportunity to be able to reconnect and to mend this relationship, to be able to work together, communicate better, to build a stronger relationship, a stronger union. That's what I feel here, especially with the tree. Because trees always remind me, we also got the grounding energy here of like home, of shelter, of nurturing. And it's understanding that a relationship requires a lot of patience and a lot of nurturing and a lot of respect. Just like you would give a tree, in order for it to fully grow, it requires respect, right? It can provide you shelter, but it's not abusing that shelter. It can provide you wood for your fire, but it's not taking too much from the tree to the point where you leave it bearless, right? It's acknowledging what it can provide for you and being grateful and thankful to it, but also giving it that nurturing energy so it can keep growing, it can keep expanding. So I'm actually feeling a very gentle energy coming from this. So it's do not worry. If you want this relationship to work, if you care for it, then it will keep growing. But it's the love that you give it, the patience that you give it, the acknowledgement, the respect that you give it, and the understanding. It's not only about listening, but it's also about trying to understand the other person. And if understanding is not something that is coming easily to you, then it's just acknowledging the emotions of the other person. Sometimes we cannot understand, and sometimes maybe we do not have to understand, but it's not invalidating what the other person is feeling because we can't understand it, but it's realizing that they have feelings as well, and that they have the right to feel whatever they feel, and that we should not be the ones to tell them otherwise. So I am seeing union again here. I am seeing mending of relationships. So for the future energy, so we have the Seven of Cups, the number 21, and we have the Stork. So the Seven of Cups in the Rider-Waite's Tarot usually represents a lot of choices, but also represents like this very elusive or daydreamy energy. And since the Three of Bows, it's about vision and seeing into the future. With the Seven of Cups, what I'm actually seeing and representing as is several possibilities. So several possibilities of how these relationships can unfold, or finally be able to seeing the potential of these relationships. But I'm also seeing it because it's several hearts. I usually see as cup energy. I'm seeing it as different relationships that you have, right? Different platonic relationships, and seeing the beauty of each relationship, because I will place an image of the Seven of Cups here, but the Seven of Cups, each cup has something different to offer. So through this moment of healing, through this moment of maybe separation, of distancing yourself from the person, you are able to see the relationship from a different perspective. And that's what I'm seeing here. Like, you're able to see the relationships more clearly once you start detaching yourself a bit from them. So that's why I say that distance sometimes is very important, because you can get more clear-headed on the situation. And so you start seeing the potential of each relationship. You start seeing the true value of each relationship. You start seeing the relationship for what it truly is. You start seeing its real face. And then you can acknowledge where this relationship is heading, where you want it to head, whether you want to mend this relationship, keep it going, or you want to maybe move on from it. And again, because I'm seeing like various different relationships. So like I mentioned, the relationships that you want to continue, keep nurturing, they will mend, they will heal, and they will continue to grow if that is what you want, right? And we do have the storks here, and the storks always remind me of family. Like, the storks are usually in cartoons the one who deliver babies. So I am seeing here like building new relationships, but I'm also feeling like the relationships that you had or that you have will change in the future. Either they will elevate, meaning that the dynamic of it will change. Either there will be better communication, you will be able to see each other in a new light, the relationship, the way you see it will change, again, like a new perspective, and you will be able to acknowledge and appreciate it in a different way, or go about this relationship in a different way. That's what I feel with the storks. And I'm being brought to the message here. It says the stork denotes change of residence for the better, sooner or later. So residence, I know it can mean like a place, a home, but I also feel like change in terms of the relationship. Like, there will be better communication, maybe better expression, more vulnerability, better comprehension or understanding. It will change for the better. It will grow more. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing. That's pretty nice for general platonic relationships. Now let's look into romantic. So we have the 9 of arrows. This is the 9 of swords in the Rider-Waite's Tarot. So the 9 of swords denotes stress, anxiety, sleepless nights, can denote insomnia, or it's like sleep paralysis. I also see it as like overthinking. With it being here represented as dedication, I feel like a very daydreamy energy, like someone who is often wishing for love, someone who is often looking for their other half, for their true love, for their soulmate, because I see all of these arrows here. And as I mentioned, well, not in this reading, in another reading, but arrows is air energy, and that has to do a lot with the mind. But the arrows here, with her using her bow this way, it's reminding me of Cupid. It's like sending your message of love out into the open. But see how there's no direction here? Like, there's no target. It's like she's aimlessly shooting her arrows. She is aimlessly shooting her arrows. And it's so funny how she's positioning or using the bow. It's like she's done this for so long that she's now doing it in a very haphazardly way. Like, she's kind of using it as if it were an instrument or a violin. It's like she's sending her soul song out there like a siren song. And whoever hears it, wherever this arrow lands, then that will be the suitor. And I'm noticing how she has this red shawl, and we have this red dress here, and the red reminds me of that root chakra energy. And then we have this blue dress, which is throat chakra. So throat is about communication, speaking your truth. Root chakra is about grounding. It's also, I feel like, knowing exactly what it is that you want. So arrows, apart from being air energy, I also see them as intentions. It's the energy you put out into the world. So what this message is saying is, you are looking for love, constantly wishing for it, trying to manifest it. But what is it that you are asking for? Because again, there is no clear target here. It's like you're just shooting messages out there into the open, hoping that it will land on someone. But the message here is, be careful, because when we aimlessly shoot this way, it can land on anything. It doesn't mean that it will land on the right person. It'll just land on someone. And if has been the case, and you're questioning, why is it that I always get partners that are not fulfilling for me or that are not the best relationships? This is why. Because you haven't become clear on your intention. And I feel it's because it's time to be more honest with yourself. It's time to actually speak about what it is that you truly want, but it's more coming from a place of deserving. You deserve the truest form of love. And it's kind of also grounding yourself in a sense of reality, because sometimes we can get clear on what it is that we want, and we can be very specific on what it is that we want, right? But sometimes what we're asking for, we're putting too much expectation on it. It's not very realistic, and I'm not saying you cannot get what it is that you want. Of course that you can, but it's time to be realistic with yourself, because what I'm seeing here is that you might be asking for something that you yourself know that is not very realistic, and this might actually be a way of you subconsciously protecting yourself from getting your heart hurt. It kind of reminds me of the movie Practical Magic, when she did a spell, manifested this person, and she said it has to have one blue eye and the other one green, and he has to ride a horse backwards. All of these things that when she set the intention, she knew that that would be impossible to actually manifest. Like, at the end of the day, she got exactly what she wanted, but her intention was that if I wish for like this nonsensical things, it will never happen for me. And that's exactly kind of what I'm getting here. It's like you're wishing for like the best of the best and these like very high ideals and expectations, but is it truly what you want, or you're doing this because you're actually afraid of embarking on this journey of romantic love, because you're afraid of getting hurt? So you ask almost for what you at some point might perceive as the impossible. And in that way, whatever comes your way that doesn't meet those expectations, you are able to shut them out immediately, because you're like, no, that's not what I want. I want this to the T. But it's just you keeping yourself from getting hurt. I hope that makes sense. I think if it resonates, it will make sense. For others of you, I do feel like it's like you're asking for love, and you're constantly asking for love, but it's like more of the idea of love and not really love itself. It's like the idea of love, like, yes, I want this romantic, beautiful love, but you're not really getting into the specifics of it. Like, how do you want to feel? What do you want it to look like? Why do you want this relationship? What will you yourself will have to offer in this relationship? What will be the fair, equal, and exchange? There hasn't been that. There hasn't been truth. There hasn't been grounding yet. And that's why we have these arrows. And as you can see, they're not even really flying. They're just hovering in midair, because it's like there's still some form of resistance here. So it's kind of getting away from this daydreamy energy and getting real with yourself, because I feel like either you've been wishing for it for too long, that you have been stuck in this mentality of just wishing for it and it never coming true for you. But now it's the time for things to start changing. Now it's the time for things to start unfolding for you. So now you can actually send your arrow with an intention, and it can manifest. I feel like the moment that you focus on exactly what it is that you want, focus on the feeling you want to receive in this romantic relationship, and envision it and truly believe it. That's the also key with manifestations. You have to believe in it, because if you doubt it, then the universe will doubt that you would want this. The universe listens to your vibration and to your energy, the feeling that you put out there. And if there is doubt, there is resistance. So there is confusion. It's like sending mixed signals and signs to the universe. It's like, wait, do you really want it or do you not want it? So the minute that you send the intention out with true belief in it, then that is the moment that this can manifest for you. And remember, be careful with what it is that you're asking for, because that is what you will be receiving. Okay, so the next card is to represent the future energy. So we received 2 cards for this one. Perfect. So we have the King of Pentacles with the letter. And we have the Queen of Swords with the Cupid. Yes, you guys, once you set your intention clearly, once you become honest with yourself and what it is that you want, then I'm telling you, you will get a response almost immediately. The message, the letter here is talking about a message. You will be receiving a message pretty soon, like a response in terms of the message that you sent out. So whatever message you send out, a response in accordance to that message will be given to you. And we do have the King of Pentacles. We have a king and a queen. So that's a match there. They're from different suits, but it's still a match. So the King of Pentacles is an energy that looks for stability, that looks for commitment, that looks for longevity. It's a very hard worker. It's one who's a visionary, sees into the future, and is willing to work for that vision, willing to work for that future, build up to it, and then build upon it. And then the Queen of Swords, air energy. The Queen of Swords is decisive. She knows exactly what she wants. She's not ashamed of it. She has no guilt over it. She says it bluntly and concisely and precisely. And she sets intentions out into the universe. And she trusts that what she wants, she will receive, because what she wants is exactly what she feels she deserves. So she will receive it. So this is also about acknowledging what is it that you deserve? What is it that you feel you deserve? With realizing what you feel you deserve, you will get to know more about how you see yourself and your worth. Because if what you're asking for is not a fair relationship, it's not appreciating your beauty and your self-worth, then you start seeing exactly where you stand in terms of relationship with self. So that's why I feel like it's time to be more honest with yourself and realizing that you deserve the very best. You deserve a fulfilling love life, a romantic love life. And then we do have the Cupid here. I was expressing Cupid energy with her being all daydreamy here. So the Cupid energy denotes, we have it here, is a sign that someone is looking at you with great love and longing. So this does represent a romantic attraction. And I feel, because we do have her shooting arrows here, I feel like you will finally be able to hit a target. One of these arrows will find a heart to land on, and that will be the potential suitor, somebody coming into your life who will look at you in the way that you hope to be looked at, who will reciprocate your feelings. So again, be very mindful of the message that you're putting out there, the energy that you're putting out there, the manifestations that you're putting out there, because they will come reality. There will be a response coming through pretty soon for you guys. I feel like this is in the near future, because once you start getting intentional, then this will come in pretty quickly. Once you embrace this Queen of Swords energy, that's when this King of Pentacles is able to come into your life. And I want to see, actually, romantic relationships. What is the chakra that needs attention at this moment? So actually, this one represents the higher heart chakra. So the higher heart chakra, I see it as the connection with unconditional love, and I see it also connecting with your true self. So again, this is about acknowledging your self-worth, acknowledging what it is that you truly want. The relationships we have with others are sometimes a reflection of the relationships we have with ourselves. And the relations that we want to manifest in our outer reality are sometimes a reflection of the relationship we wish we had with ourselves. So I'm seeing this as connecting with your truth, with your authenticity, realizing your self-worth, and seeing that you are worthy of that love. Okay, so now let us pull a message from the note chart. 3. Oh. 3? Okay, fine. So let's pull this one. I feel like this is also represent once you connect it to your heart space. Connecting to your higher heart is like connecting to your truth, to yourself. And once you did that, you were able to authentically send out a call. And that call was able to then be heard by someone who matched your energy, someone who matched your spirit, and that's the person you were finally calling in, someone who is able to respond to your call. Oh, and then we have this. When you miss me, close your eyes and simply feel. There is where you will find me. You see? Yeah, I feel like this might be a connection stemming from the heart space, stemming from your true authenticity. When you connect with yourself, truly go within and connect with yourself, as we were mentioning before, that's when you're able to call in this person. Okay? Oh, what you did to my heart was sheer inexplicable magic. We heart the heart here. This is from the book Flipped by Wendelin Van Draenen. And the last message. Yes, there you go. You have it. So if you had a question, here's your question answered with yes. Okay? Yeah. So the more you start trusting yourself, the more you start connecting with your true self, that is where you will be able to find your voice and then send out your authentic call out there. And then that's when the person who matches you truly will be able to hear you and then come forward. Okay? So yeah, so that is all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope the message resonated or helped in some way. If it did, then please leave a like or a comment. And if you want to stick around for more readings with me, Kim, then please do subscribe. I do offer personal readings. All the information is in the description box down below. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next moment, bye bye.